Sue Bird stood frozen on the sideline, arms folded so tight her knuckles went white. 11 future Hall of Famers, 2 head coaches, and every phone in the building stopped recording at the exact same second. Because what happened next in that closed Team USA practice wasn't just basketball. It was a complete dismantling of the old guard by someone who wasn't supposed to be there. And when 37 seconds of leaked footage hit Twitter, Sue Bird whispered 4 words that changed everything. She broke everything. Now, we're getting into serious rumor territory here, but multiple sources have been buzzing about footage that allegedly leaked from a Team USA practice session. If these reports are accurate, what you're about to hear isn't just about basketball skills. It's about the moment the torch didn't get passed. It got ripped away. And the person holding it, Caitlin Clark. Many of you have been saying this for weeks. You've been connecting the dots between the Olympics, the sudden shift in media narratives, and the way veterans have been talking about Clark in coded language. You were onto something. Because if this leaked footage is real, and sources close to the situation suggest it might be, then what happened in that gym wasn't a practice. It was a coronation, with witnesses. Let's filter out the noise and get to what allegedly went down. This isn't about hype. This isn't about stats. This is about what happens when someone who's been doubted, dismissed, and told to wait her turn finally gets her moment. And she doesn't just take it, she weaponizes it. If you believe the story behind the story matters, if you think there's more to the WNBA power dynamics than what we see on the surface, smash that like button right now. It tells us you're ready to go deeper, because what we're unpacking today, it changes the entire conversation about who really runs women's basketball. Here's what we know for certain. Team USA held a closed practice during Olympic preparation. No media, no phones, locked doors. That's standard procedure. What's not standard? Footage allegedly leaking. And what's definitely not standard? The content of that footage reportedly showing a rookie going toe-to-toe with legends and not just holding her own, but according to whispers from people who were allegedly there, completely dominating. The setup was simple. If the reports are accurate, 5-on-5 half-court, veterans versus the young select team. The veteran squad included names you know. Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Diana Taurasi, and Sue Bird on the sideline, watching with that calm, calculated look she's had for 2 decades. They were running possessions like it was the gold medal game. The message was clear, this is still our team. Then, allegedly, Caitlin Clark checked in, no announcement, no fanfare, just a ref's whistle, and her walking to the scorer's table like she owned the place. Sources suggest the first possession, she didn't even touch the ball. She set a screen so hard it sent a defender flying. Second possession, she caught it, took 1 dribble, and the entire defense collapsed. They'd been practicing for this exact moment. Third possession is where things allegedly went nuclear. She caught it on the left wing. 1 hesitation dribble so clean the defender's ankles reportedly filed for early retirement. Step back from the logo. Swish. Net didn't even move. Just dead silence. Then, according to people who claim they were there, Jewel Lloyd, who was guarding her, let out this half-laugh, half-prayer that echoed through the gym. Sue Bird allegedly didn't clap, didn't smile. Just looked at Diana Taurasi and mouthed 2 words that could be read from across the court. She's different. Not, she's good. Different. Like the entire game just got rewritten in real time. Reading between the lines here, this wasn't about one shot. This was about the energy shift in that room. Because what allegedly happened next made grown millionaires question their own legacies. The coaches tried to reset the drill, but according to the rumors circulating, nobody moved. Because Caitlin hadn't stopped. Sources suggest she walked straight to the ref, took the ball out of his hands like it belonged to her, and called her own play, pointed at teammates, pointed at the corner, pointed at the logo. Then she jogged to half court, turned her back to the entire veteran squad, and waited. The gym was reportedly so quiet you could hear an Apple Watch vibrate. Aja Wilson stepped up, chest to chest. She wanted to establish dominance, And Caitlin, she allegedly smiled, not the nice smile. The one that says, "I've been waiting 3 months to show you what silence looks like." The ball got inbounded. Caitlin caught it facing the bench, ball on her hip like she was bored. One dribble right. Defense shifts. Another dribble left. Help. Rotates. Then she allegedly did something nobody in that gym had ever seen live. She rose up from near the volleyball line. Body perfectly still. Elbow locked. Wrist loose. The ball left her hand so high, the lights caught it like a slow-motion halo. Every head in the building tilted back simultaneously. Swish. The net flipped inside out. Sue Bird's arms allegedly dropped to her sides. Diana Taurasi turned around and stared at the floor. And Cheryl Reeve, the head coach, reportedly yelled the only thing she could think of: "Stop the drill." But if these accounts are accurate, Caitlin wasn't done. She walked straight to midcourt, looked at Sue Bird, and said 5 words that allegedly ended an entire era. "Who's guarding me next?" 4 seconds of complete silence. Then the youngest assistant coach started clapping by himself. Slow at first, then faster. Then the entire select team joined in, then trainers, then equipment staff. Then even the veterans who were supposed to hate this moment started nodding, because they all felt it at the same time. The torch didn't pass, it got snatched. And here's where it gets really interesting. Sue Bird, the same Sue Bird with 4 Olympic gold medals and 0 fear, allegedly did something nobody expected. She didn't lecture, she didn't ice Clark out, she didn't pull rank. She grabbed the ball, bounced it once, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Run it back, I got her." The entire gym reportedly lost its mind. Sue Bird, 43 years old, 4 Olympics, 19 WNBA seasons, calling for the rookie who wasn't even on the Olympic roster. This wasn't a drill anymore. If this really happened, this was a coronation with witnesses. They checked the ball at half court, no ref, no clock, just legends and the girl who refused to stay quiet. Sue switched everything, denied the ball, talked the entire time. Classic Bird defense. Caitlin just nodded, observed, learned. Then she allegedly did the one thing that made Sue Bird retire in her own mind right there on the spot. She copied Sue's exact cadence, her exact hesitation, her exact shoulder fake, and then added 3 feet of range. Logo bomb. Again, Sue didn't even watch the ball go in. She was already staring at the ceiling, laughing. Not a happy laugh. The laugh you make when you realize your era just ended and there's nothing you can do about it. Diana Taurasi walked off the court without saying a word. Aja Wilson sat on the baseline with her head in her hands, and Brianna Stewart, she just stood there, arms at her sides, staring at Caitlin like she was watching the future murder the past in real time. The practice allegedly ended early, no explanation, just coaches calling it, and everyone walking to the locker room in complete silence. Because what do you say after watching someone dismantle every legend in the building without breaking a sweat? But here's what really matters. The footage that allegedly leaked wasn't just about basketball, it was about power, and more specifically, about what happens when the establishment realizes they can't control the narrative anymore. Because here's what the WNBA community has been buzzing about in group chats and private conversations. If this practice really went down the way sources describe, Sue Bird's forward reaction wasn't admiration. It was recognition. She broke everything, not the drill, not the defense, everything. The hierarchy, the timeline, the carefully constructed plan for how power was supposed to transfer in women's basketball. Drop a comment right now if you've been following this story and noticed how the media coverage of Caitlin Clark shifted right around Olympic time. Tell us what you think really happened behind those closed doors. Because your theories, they're connecting dots that mainstream coverage refuses to acknowledge. Let's talk about what allegedly happened after that practice session ended. Multiple sources suggest that footage was never supposed to exist. Phones were collected, security was tight, but someone hit record anyway. 37 seconds of video that reportedly showed Caitlin hitting 3 consecutive logo shots while legends watched in stunned silence. The video allegedly started circulating in private basketball circles first, former players, coaches, insiders, and the reaction, not excitement, fear. Because if Caitlin could do that to the best players in the world during a closed practice, what would she do to everyone else once the spotlight was on? Within 48 hours, the video reportedly made it to Twitter. Grainy footage, no audio, just pure visual evidence of dominance. The clip allegedly showed Sue Bird's reaction in real time, arms dropping, head shaking. That whisper that someone with a directional mic supposedly caught, she broke everything. Now, we're in serious speculation territory here, but fans have been connecting these breadcrumbs for weeks. The timing of certain roster decisions, the way veteran players started talking about the future of the league in interviews, the sudden shift in how commissioners and executives discussed talent development. If these reports are accurate, that leaked footage didn't just go viral. It forced conversations that the WNBA establishment wasn't ready to have. Because here's what nobody wants to admit publicly. The league has been built on a careful balance. Veterans get their respect. Young players wait their turn. The system works because everyone agrees to follow the rules. But what happens when someone comes along who's too talented to wait, too dominant to ignore, too popular to suppress? You get chaos. Beautiful, necessary chaos. Social media has been lighting up with theories about what that practice really meant. Some people think it was a setup, a way for veterans to test Clark and see if she could handle pressure. Others believe it was genuine competition that got out of hand, and some think it was a deliberate leak designed to build hype for the next WNBA season. But connecting the dots reveals something more interesting. After that alleged practice, according to whispers from people close to the situation, Sue Bird had a private conversation with Diana Taurasi that lasted over an hour. No phones, no witnesses. Just two legends discussing what they'd just seen. Multiple sources suggest that conversation ended with both of them reaching the same conclusion. The game they'd dominated for 2 decades, it was evolving faster than they'd anticipated, and the person leading that evolution wasn't asking for permission. Here's where the story gets really compelling. If the leaked footage reports are accurate, Cheryl Reeve made a decision that night that would have massive implications. She allegedly told her coaching staff that traditional development timelines no longer applied, that if a player could dominate at that level, age and experience became secondary to pure ability. Reading between the lines of subsequent interviews and roster moves, that philosophy shift seems evident. Young players getting more opportunities. Veterans being asked to mentor rather than block. The entire power structure of Team USA basketball reportedly began shifting not because of policy changes, but because of what happened in that one practice session. And Caitlin, sources suggest she said absolutely nothing publicly about the incident. No tweets, no interviews, no acknowledgement that anything significant had happened. She just went back to work, rehabbed, trained, prepared. That silence, according to people who study these dynamics, was more powerful than any statement she could have made, because it sent a clear message: I don't need to talk about what I can do, I'll just show you. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Is all of this real? Did this practice actually happen the way it's been described? Or is it an elaborate narrative constructed from fragments of truth, social media speculation, and wishful thinking from fans who want to believe in Caitlin Clark's dominance? Honestly, we may never know the full truth. What we do know is that something shifted in the WNBA power dynamics during Olympic preparation, something that made veterans reconsider their positions, something that made executives rethink development timelines, something that made Sue Bird, one of the most composed champions in basketball history, allegedly lose her composure for just a moment. Whether it happened exactly as described or it's become a legend that's bigger than the actual event, the impact is real. The conversation is real. The recognition that women's basketball is evolving at a pace that's making the old guard uncomfortable, that's definitely real. And Caitlin Clark sits at the center of all of it. Not because she's loud, not because she demands attention, but because her game speaks so loudly that even when practice doors are locked and phones are banned, the message still gets out. She broke everything. 4 words from Sue Bird that allegedly summarize the end of an era and the beginning of something new. 4 words that may have been spoken in a closed practice, but have echoed through the entire WNBA landscape ever since. So what happens next? That's what everyone's wondering. If Clark could allegedly do that to legends in practice, what does opening night look like? What does a full season look like when someone who's already proven she can dominate at the highest level stops holding back? The WNBA establishment wanted a controlled transition, a smooth passing of the torch, a respectful changing of the guard. But if these reports are even partially accurate, they're not getting any of that. They're getting disruption. They're getting someone who doesn't wait for permission. They're getting exactly what Sue Bird allegedly recognized in that moment when her arms dropped to her sides and she whispered those 4 words. Everything broke. The hierarchy, the timeline, the plan, all of it shattered in 37 seconds of leaked footage that may or may not tell the full story, but definitely tells enough. Before we go, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because this story, it's just beginning. Next video, we're breaking down what veterans have been saying in coded language about the new generation and why their silence says more than their words ever could. The practice footage might be locked away. The full story might never be told, but the impact, that's playing out in real time, right now, all season long. Sue Bird said she broke everything. And whether it happened in a practice gym or it's a metaphor for what's happening to women's basketball as a whole, one thing's certain. Everything did break. And we're all watching the pieces fall exactly where Caitlin Clark wants them.